Have you ever wondered what makes bodies tick? Are you creating the sexual reality you desire and require? Would you like to know more about what else is possible with bodies? What if your fantasies are not as strange as you thought they were? What if you could learn to be kinder to your body and kinder to others' bodies? Would you like to create confidence in the bedroom and beyond? How has your sex life or lack of it affected other areas of your life? Have you lost your mojo and wondered where to find it? Everyone has the potency to be a sexual superhero. Get ready to listen, sense, and play with the sexualness that is you. Now, here is the host of The Pleasure Zone, Body Whisperer, Milica Jelenic.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and tonight we have a very fun topic. Fun in the way that it's like I love exploring all things that get us beyond all of our judgments of ourselves so that we can have way more fun in our lives and our bodies. And for those of you who listen to this show on a regular basis, you'll know that we kind of have a theme. We tend to have a lot of people who work with access consciousness tools on this show. And tonight we're having something completely different, just for fun. And I love always looking at how other people have approached things and different points of view. And like everything is included in consciousness. So tonight we're actually going to be looking at how to move beyond body judgment and not with the usual tools that you'll hear on this show. So how does it get any better than that? And for those of you who are brand new to this show, I want to welcome you and thank you for listening tonight. So tonight, actually, you're listening to me and I'm your host, and how awesome is that? I actually do a lot of fun things with bodies. So one of the purposes of this show is to actually invite people to have greater ease with their body and their lives and to really like step up to what is the pleasure zone for you in your life. So, you know, for some people that is actually has to do with intimacy, physical intimacy. And for some people that has to do with painting or movement or dancing. And so the pleasure zone really is not just about copulation. This show is really about inviting you to look at all the different ways you can have more pleasure in your life. And it just happens that we happen to have bodies right now in this embodiment. We have bodies, so I love talking about them. And one of my specialties is actually working with bodies to create more ease in them through a type of body movement, which is a somatic body movement called the mitzvah technique, which is a type of body movement that aligns your spine through gentle movement. So that's something that I trained in, and it's something that I love offering the world and the planet. And also another thing that I offer people for their bodies is energy work in many different varieties I've learned, and one of my very favorites is something called the bars from Access Consciousness, and that's these points on the head, and when you touch them, your life pretty much changes, and if it doesn't change, you know, at least you get really, really, really relaxed. I had to laugh because one of my clients this weekend said, "How do you do that? You touch my head and in 30 seconds I fall asleep." I'm like, it's magic. And it actually is kind of like magic. So for all of you listening out there, if that just sounds like super great fun and you would love to have your body in this like state of relaxation, it really comes down to choosing it. Choosing it, find somebody in your area that does it. Come fly up to Toronto, to Canada. Find me, invite me. I will show up. I love traveling. I love going places and offering what I do to bodies. And, you know, essentially the being receives that as well. So tonight, my guest, actually, after 27 years of not, actually, we've been chatting with each other on Facebook for years, but for 27 years, I've actually not had like a full-on conversation with Nikki, and we went to grade 7 and 8 together. Way back in the day. And it's like, wow, that's really cool. And this week she had a post about a show that she's created called Loving and Leaving Ed. And it inspired me. And I thought, you know what? Like, let's have Nikki on the show and let's talk about bodies and getting out of body judgment. I have an awareness of what the show is about. But I don't know exactly what it's about because I haven't gone to see it yet, and I'm excited to go see it. And I've actually just told some people about Nikki being on the show, and they've already gotten like excited to go watch it with me. So who is this Nikki character anyway, right? Everybody's wondering, who's this Nikki character? So Nikki is actually a writer, producer, and performer of this musical narrative called Loving and Leaving Ed. So Nikki's been performing her show for the last 5 years at various venues across the Greater Toronto area, and in an effort to raise awareness on the growing social issues of mental wellness, body image, self-esteem, and eating disorders. Nikki's a talented singer as well as an advocate on these issues and has combined her passion and purpose to create an event that has touched the lives of everyone who has seen it. And so for those of you who want to find her on YouTube, you can find that. We have links that are going to be in the A to Zen on the event for this A to Zen show, and I think it's also in the archives as well. You can also find her. There's a link for the Rogers.com media, and you can find her on her website as well, http / or you even know those these days, I don't know, Loving and Leaving Ed. So loving with a capital, and with a capital, leaving with a capital, and ed is capital ed.com. So I invite you to check that out and check out Nikki. So even back in the day, I remember Nikki, like I think it was grade 7 or 8, you were actually like in the talent show. And I don't know if you guys won, but I remember you being in the talent show. You and this other girl, Lisa, that was in our class. And like yes. Lisa was like George Michael, and I can't remember who you were, but I remember you were on stage because I was like, I could never do that. And now I have a radio show. Who knew? So that was cool. Did you guys win that year? I can't remember, but I always thought of you as a performer. So I thought it was just like really cool that you now have your own show. And
yeah, that means a lot to me. Thank you for saying that. Yeah,
that's cool. Cool.
It's just you just took my mind back. So far I actually forgot about that. Right. So it's nice to be reminded of how many years I've been loving music and loving performing, and now aligning it with my purpose. Right. After all these years. So yeah.
That's really cool. So can you tell us a little bit about what is it that strikes close to your heart about Loving and Leaving Ed that, has you want to share this with the world?
For me as the writer of this show, I really understand how deep of a relationship an eating disorder or any of these ailments can be, and I feel like they really are relationships, that you have with yourself. And once you start to look at it like that, you can sort of take it out of your mind, out of your body, and look at it, that you have the power to change your relationship, talk to it differently, listen to it in a different manner. And so for myself as the writer, I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great to turn Ed into a character and interact with him, take him out of my mind. And it's sort of, once you take it out of your mind, you can steer it a little differently, because now it's outside of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the work I do is literally like clear your mind so that you can actually see the truth of what's really going on. So I love it. It's like you've actually like had that sort of come into your awareness on your own through your writing, which is brilliant. Like, some people will spend thousands of dollars on therapy and classes like I did, or you can start writing, like whatever works for you. So that's the beauty of it. Yeah, go ahead.
And the thing about Ed also is, I thought, how can I make it relatable, to everyone? And I turned Ed into a character. I turned him into a male figure, a relationship, a love story. Everyone can relate to a friend or a boyfriend or a husband or a lover, And so by turning this relationship, into, or turning the story into how relationships start, how people get into our lives, how they start to dictate to us, and how they influence us, how we start to believe them. We take their word over our own word. We take their opinion, their judgments. And especially when we fall in love, because we start to become codependent and we start to feel that we can't live without that person. And so really Loving and Leaving Ed is a musical love story. I turned Ed into a male character, and I told a story about, how we met, what was going on in my life when I met him, how he told me I needed him, how I believed that, how, he started to give me advice. I started to take it. And then, how I became codependent on him, and how he began to influence me in ways that were now negative and abusive. And when I tried to stand up to him, how he completely reduced me and told me that I could not live without him. And then the whole journey of this story is, really, really, coming to that place where I'm going to stand up to this now, and I will no longer accept this in my life. And so, I think that my story really, dissects, the ways in which relationships can sneak in and then take over if they don't serve for a positive purpose. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and if you're not aware of what's going on, right? Yeah, the creeping in. So the judgments that creep in, like the judgments of, we were talking about how, I thought it was interesting how you said about the abuse of that. It's like, because how many people actually ever see, they might see that they're having like an eating disorder or there's like a mental health issue, but they don't actually see that relationship they're having with that thing, like that entity of the mental health issue, that issue is actually abusive towards them. Like, that is such a brilliant play on it. It's like, would you actually choose that? If this was an abusive relationship, would you choose to be in it?
Exactly. And also that you don't have to be in it. What you see in my musical is I don't change my clothes. I don't change my character. I don't have a costume change. What happens is the transition of what's going on in my mind, the way I speak to myself, what I listen to, it changes. And the whole philosophy behind my writing or this particular story is once you change the way you look at it, what you're looking at changes. And so what you actually see is the transformation of my mind, not my body, not my physical appearance. Do you know what I mean? Like I
totally get what you mean.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny we're having this conversation when I said to everybody, this is going to be a different way of looking at things, but in fact, it's pretty much how I actually operate. It's like, changing your point of view and how your point of view actually creates your reality. And once you change that point of view, you can create dynamic change in your life. And it doesn't mean that your body is going to morph overnight, but it might. But it's really about changing your point of view.
Right. And everything else just follows. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So there's such simplicity in it. It's like we almost complicate these things. Like, first we have to look at not only where did this start, but it's like, and in the story, like when you're telling the story, you actually talk about the relationship and where it does start. And though with a lot of therapy, it actually makes you rehash all of the pain of it. And it's not that the pain isn't necessarily what's serving you or changing anything, but looking at the relationship of what you've created, that will start to have you acknowledge it and change it. So that's brilliant. I think that's why people are like excited. Like, I'm excited to see your show. And I'm like, I actually was like considering just like sending my daughter home with my mom on so Nikki's got a show coming up in the GTA on, it's May 8th.
May 9th.
Sorry. I knew it was like the day, like I'm leaving Toronto or I'm coming. It's like, there's like a timeline that was like, what else is possible? So, but she's got quite a few shows coming up. So there's another one in June as well. So I know this year I'm making it to your show because just fun. It's just like such a fun concept that like on this show, we often talk about our relationship with ourselves and our bodies and how we often separate that. And our body is like, we kind of wear these bodies in this lifetime, but truly they are like mutable. They can change all the time. So, and if we just acknowledge, like, from the time we were born till now, how much has our body changed? It's like sometimes with stuff we get stuck in our head, like, oh, this is never going to change and it's getting worse and blah, blah, blah. But it's actually been changing since the moment you were conceived. So I think the beauty of it is to acknowledge that there's always room for change, and like the possibility for that is just huge.
That's right.
So
for myself, I think, evolving spiritually, just who I am as a person outside of my physicality, like, who am I? Me. Yeah. And what am I capable of? Like, what's my purpose? What's my power? What's my influence? And, once I could really sort of, get excited about using my talents to impress people, using, or not impress, to reach people, and I started to have this feeling of going out in a social setting, and I always used to worry about what was I going to wear and how do I look, and I don't have the right pants and I don't have the right shoes, and then now I just feel like, oh man, I can't wait to have a great conversation and leave someone better than they walked in, like to just know that today when I go to this event, what I'm wearing won't even matter, because whoever talks to me tonight is going to walk out a better person. I get really excited about that now. And
which is so funny. Can I just say, like, from what I remember of you in like grade 7, 8, was like you were the bubbly girl who was always like making people. You were drama a bit. Like you could be really, really happy and then be like bawling your eyes out, but you were like alive, right? Like really present and alive. And like Nikki was like the Gina. So she had like the biggest hair of everybody in school, like biggest, and like had the most makeup of everybody, but you also were like way more fashionista than all of us. So I think it's really funny.
No way.
I saw you as like the fashion. Yeah, but you had like style. You had like a style about you that was you. It was like there was no missing. That was Nikki. Like it's just funny.
This is a part of my life I'm trying to forget, right? Really my big hair and my neon mascara.
But I loved it. And it was just like you were so just like there. Like it was like I'm gonna be seen. Like you just like had this like I'm gonna be seen. Fuck the rest. Sorry, I'm just like just went on a little swear fest. But it was just like this attitude of like, you know what, I'm here, see me. Like there was like this desire, like deep desire to be acknowledged and seen. And I remember going like I remember thinking you were gutsy. Like that it's like, wow, she'll just like wear anything. Like that is just so cool. Like I'm not that gutsy. Like I'm trying to hide my body and stuff. And I just thought you were cool for that. So that's really funny. You're like, I'm trying to forget that part. It's really funny.
Because you're saying fashion, it was bad. But I think what you're mentioning, which I love so much and appreciate so much, is my spirit. I think that's one thing that I lost, or I was struggling to hold on to was, over the years, past grade 7 into grade 9 into grade 10, high school. Everybody knows about high school. My spirit was starting to die. And I did love that part about myself too, because I was still naive in grade 7. I was hurt, but I wasn't too hurt. I was jaded, but I wasn't too jaded. I was insecure, but I hadn't really noticed, or, I could feel things, but not very deeply because I wasn't as aware. But then high school comes and, you start to bury feelings and feelings get lower and deeper until you start to lose that spirit. And I think for me, the loss of my energy and my spirit was the saddest part of my life, because I felt its absence. I felt like I was not alive. I felt like that part of me died, and I was just going through my days. You know what I mean? And that's why, loving and leaving Ed is sort of, it's my pain and my purpose coming together, my pain of losing my spirit, but then my purpose of, or my dreams of loving to sing, loving to perform, wanting to be seen, wanting to be heard, because on some level deep down, I believed that my voice was powerful because I had energy. I had a good heart. I was a nice person. I really, really, really genuinely cared about people. So for my voice to be silenced because of depression or a mental instability or an eating disorder was unacceptable to a personality like mine. Yeah. So, loving and leaving Ed is just taking that pain and the purpose, putting it together. And, I didn't want to just be a singer that got on stage, and just, hey, look at me, I can dance better than you. Hey, look at me, I'm a great singer. Hey, look at me. It's not what I'm about at all. So I thought, how can I take my music, my dreams, put them together and make a difference in other people's lives as well as my own, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. So we are going to go to break in about 30 seconds. And for all of you listening, just take a minute while we're on break. You can feel free to listen to the ads and make them really important. Or you can actually reflect, if you like, on something else. And what if you actually just reflected for a minute that everywhere in your life where you've actually been, diminishing you, like Nikki's talking about, like her spirit being taken away, but everywhere you've actually diminished who you truly be. And that just like reflect on what it is that you made really, like what did you make wrong about it, and what if there actually is some strength in that. The way, Nikki, you were saying, like you knew that you could actually use your voice and the character you be, like just who you be, like just the desire to be seen, and how you can use that to actually contribute to people, to change their lives. So for everybody out there listening, like everybody, every single one of us has gifts, and I like want all of you to acknowledge, like if you're making yourself really wrong for a bunch of stuff, the chances are you've got a secret hidden talent in there. So please just play with that, even if it's only for the next minute or two. Play with that. So we're going to head to break now, and when we come back on the Pleasure Zone, we're going to explore more of this topic to give you guys some tips and tools too you can use so that you can actually allow yourself to move beyond body judgment too. So we shall see you guys in a minute.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. Would you be willing to explore what has already been introduced as sexual practices on this planet? What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution? Taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation. By tuning into the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a2zen.fm.
Are you driving with the engine warning light on when it comes to listening to your body? Pull over and come to a 3-day body class with Juna Guder. Is now the time for learning the language of your body? Is now the time to change what isn't working? Now is the time. Juna will be in Toronto and Europe in May, facilitating the 3-day body classes and the Right Body for You taster classes. Is your body asking for this? Take action and register now on the accessconsciousness.com website.
This is the Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call us in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255-TALK or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask for comment by email by sending to Milica at milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and tonight my guest is Nikki Diakopoulos-Policelli. I think I got the Policelli part right, but I remember Diakopoulos. And happy belated Easter, Nikki.
Thank you.
I don't know how you say it in Greek, but in Serbian it's Christos Voskrese. So There you go.
Yes, thank you.
Something like that. Close to that in Greek. Christos Anesti, right?
Yes.
Yes, cool. I know some Greek, but not very much.
No.
So what I wondered when we were on break was, the chances are that we're actually speaking to a lot of people, because I get a lot of curious, teens, tweens who listen to this show, parents who have their children listen to this show for educational purposes because they might not want to speak to their children about stuff. So I get to be like the Sex with Sue for the new generation. So I wondered if there's anything that you would actually say to maybe a teen that is in high school that was going through what you were going through in high school, when, leaving grade 8 where we're like the kings of the school. Right. And Nikki was a popular girl in school. So I don't know if you knew that, Nikki, but you were one of the popular girls. So
I just liked everyone. I never really thought popular, but that's great. I'll take it. I'll take it on the radio. Did y'all hear that?
Did everybody hear that? I was the popular. You were the funny girl and the popular girl, and like to me, you were like the fearless girl. Like you were just fearless. So I thought that was really cool. There's like certain people that stand out in my mind from like grade school, and certain people I'm like, those people were in school with us. Like they just like I didn't even know, right? But then there's other people who like. They actually like made an impact. And Nikki, like you're one of those people who made an impact. So I just would like you to like acknowledge that, like, so this isn't just now in your life. Like you've always been awesome. You've always been potent.
That's
so
very, very, very nice of you to say. Thank you very much for saying that.
Yeah, you're welcome. So for those of you who are like listening and you are in, you're leaving grade 8 and you're going into high school and, you're entering like, there are a lot of people kind of leaving school right now and they're kind of entering the zone and, going through puberty, there's like so much body image judgment that goes on. Like I remember like that was torture for me. Was like all of the years of puberty were absolute torture. We had a girl in our class who had like double D boobs, and I was like, I'm like the flattest girl in school. I'm like, oh my God, and I'm like one of the tallest, so all the boys' eyes are right at my boob level. And it's like really not fun. So there's this like uncomfortableness that happens with our bodies, and like, what kind of tips would you give to people? Teens have it, but then we sometimes get it later on in life too, going through menopause or whatever. Like we might be going through stuff. So what would you say to people who are, judging their bodies or feeling uncomfortable with their bodies? And like what advice did you give you to get out of the judgment of your body?
For me, a big word was discipline. Healthy habits that honor your body, healthy habits that are respectful to the body. Like just sort of, a few things that you think would be healthy, a healthy way of life. So for me, it was like, get enough sleep, exercise, not to punish yourself. Exercise every day because it moves your blood and it gets things getting to the right places in your mind. And also, eating well, making good choices, right? Not to punish yourself, not to diet, just good food choices that feed your body, fuel your body for great energy, for concentration. Be nice to another person every single day. Look at people and say, who can I be nice to today? Who can I help? These are all really good disciplines. And for me, if I just focus on my disciplines, then what I look like, is secondary. Like I feel like I will look the way I am supposed to look. The way I was created in God's image. That's how I will look. But see, having unhealthy habits and sitting around and not respecting your body, not honoring your body, then you've got a problem with your body. You're not respecting, you're not honoring it. So, you might develop a weight problem. You might develop, you might start to pick on yourself. But if you're following a good discipline and you've done everything you can to be kind to yourself, feed yourself lovingly, then, how you look is how you look. And I'm okay with that as long as I'm following a healthy discipline. That's sort of my advice, I think.
No, I love that. That's essentially what I would say. Honor you, like honor your body. And what does that mean to you is completely different for you than anybody else out there. Like you were saying, Nikki, for you, that's, getting enough sleep. And for some people, it would be maybe not sleeping 14 hours a day, but sleeping, 7 or 8 hours a day. Because sometimes you get in that depressed mode and you're just like never getting out of bed too. So, it's to really acknowledge what would be creating the most too for you in your life and your body, right? So what are those things?
Right.
For you, for everybody.
I really, really believe that because I think for myself, I was, my suffering with my eating, I was blaming food. I was blaming my body. I was blaming everything on, not being able to exercise enough. I wasn't dieting enough. Why am I not perfect yet? I work so hard and really just punishing myself. And once I really understood just a healthy, gentle discipline in life, you know what, the rest of it just sort of happened naturally without force, and I think the big one for me was also, focusing on other people, not just yourself, being kind to other people, like being an inspiration, like getting a hug from somebody and they just say, thank you for that conversation. I needed that. Or thank you for taking the time to call me today. Or, those things really make your soul feel happy, elated and happy. And then, they're happy, you're happy, everybody's happy. It's just a nice feeling. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, I mean, we live on a planet with 7.9 billion people. Who can you be kind to today? First, can you be kind to you? And then when you start getting that you can be kind to you, pass it on. Yeah. How much fun can you have just being within kindness to yourself, your body, and others' bodies? Like that hug or a compliment or anything, giving the homeless guy an apple. He might not like the apple, but you never know.
Right.
So,
and what else I found very helpful was I learned the art of non-judgment. It's a practice. When somebody walks in a room, a beautiful woman walks in a room, I don't stare at her from head to toe. I won't judge her in my mind, even if it's silently. I have made a conscious decision to not judge. I don't look at her that way. I no longer comment on people's weight. Oh, you've gained a little bit of weight, or oh, you've lost weight, you look great. I just don't do that anymore. And I feel that if I can really, really, really stop judging other people, then I believe that I deserve to not be judged. And I won't accept judgment because I don't give judgment. So, that was a really big one for me. It was and I had to practice that because, we all judge each other. We all compare ourselves to each other. But I've kind of taken on this approach of just thinking, nobody's better or worse than anyone else. We just have different days, different phases, different days. We are no better or worse than anyone else. And I kind of like being in that middle zone. I'm not competing with anyone anymore. I'm not.
I love the middle zone.
I'm not. Me too. Yeah, me too. I'm not. Once I stop, what am I suffering for? I don't want to be better than anyone else, and I don't want to be worse than anyone else. I think we're all just the same, just on different days, right?
Yeah.
So.
And we're all gifts, and we all are contributing to the planet. Whether you think you're contributing or not, you don't have to be a world leader. You don't have to be the CEO of a company. You don't have to have a radio show or a play. No matter what, you're contributing to the planet and to everyone. So, the more can we just be the energy of kindness and caring for everyone? How much could that literally just eliminate all the stuff that does, starts that conversation that creates that relationship, that talking about the relationship with mental health issues like eating disorders and like anything, like any addiction. What if just starting with that kindness and caring can actually be one of the keys to eliminating this nonsense that we have that runs our lives when we let it.
Right. And you know what else, Milica, is talking about it. I feel that, when you're very, very honest and you let down all your defenses and you're really open with people, they become very open with you. And I feel that once you sort of, I don't want to use the word admit, but I don't know what other word to use, but admit to another person. Acknowledge or admit to another person that, these are sort of my shortcomings. This is sort of how I feel. This is where I'm at, and then hearing where they're at, and then everybody starts to just accept each other and themselves, right? And once you've sort of said something out loud and acknowledged it, and they've accepted you and loved you no matter what you've said, then it becomes this nice, beautiful feeling of, again, we're all just, the same, and we all have our shortcomings and we all have our gifts and we all have, we're all sort of made up of these beautiful things, right? And things that are not so beautiful, and that's okay too, because that makes everything sort of come together. And when you start talking and sharing with other women or men, you start to feel that, it's like a community. It's just a community of people that just, have, just made up of good and bad. And everybody just has their own thing in life, right? And the sharing is so important. That's what makes the acceptance come alive as well, right?
Yeah. So that whole bit, you're calling it acceptance, in a lot of the work I do, we just call it allowance, right? So part of that is where, whatever you're choosing, it's hey, that's your choice. It's cool. It's not a right choice or a wrong choice. It's just a choice. Yep. And it's getting past that, because it's even when we say to somebody, well, you made a really good choice, then they're going to keep on thinking that they have to repeat that same thing over and over again because it's a good choice. But that may have only been a good choice that day, and then tomorrow something else will be a choice that works better. Right. So, yeah, part of that is just really being willing to, to me, it's willing to be an explorer of possibilities for your body, and to always check, your healthy habit today of 7 hours of sleep may work for you great, but then tomorrow you might require 8. So it's not to judge you if you go a little longer or something, because we'll do that too. We're oh my God, I slept too long. Okay, stop that. Stop the nonsense in your head. It's one of my favorite tools. Is called Stop That Nonsense.
Just stop it.
Just stop it.
Stop it right now.
It's crazy talk in your head. Turn off that tape and listen to what's really going on.
Right.
Because there's something. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I love that feeling of trusting my intuition. Your intuition was a gift. Your intuitive self, was given to you from birth. It's your birthright. And I feel I love the feeling now of, trusting my intuition. I wake up in the morning and I ask myself, what do I need today? What do I want to eat today? What is my body asking for today? And just honoring that every single day. And then you're not stuck on rules and, stuck on, well, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. It's so rigid. It's more just, it flows, right? It's your intuitive self. And I think getting in touch with intuition, your own intuition about everything is also a great tool in recovering from this.
Absolutely.
Not letting the eating disorder own you or take away your intuition, right? An eating disorder will say, you're not allowed to eat bread. You're not allowed to eat, carbs. You're not allowed to eat sugar. You're not allowed. But your intuitive self says, you know what, today I'm menstruating and my body's low on iron. I'm eating red meat today. Tomorrow I have a big marathon and I need carbohydrates, and there's a real freedom in just sort of allowing your body to just tell you what it needs, listening to it and having that type of relationship with it.
Yeah, it's really key.
Yeah.
Actually, so this, I'm hosting a woman, co-hosting with a friend of mine on Thursday in Toronto. There's an event out by the airport. It's called Right Body for You, and it's a great resource for getting all kinds of tools. So it's in the GTA of Toronto. For those of you who are not in Toronto, you could fly out if you like, but there's actually classes around the world for Right Body for You, and they give you, in an hour and a half, you get an abundance of tools to have way more allowance and ease with your body. So check that out online as well. I just want to throw that in as we're talking about having more ease with your body, because it is such, when you actually start choosing to have a relationship with your body and waking up and asking, what do you desire? What do you require? What would you like to digest today? What would you like to ingest today? It's it's life-changing, because it's not based on rules at all, and it really, literally can change every day. The other day, my body was really, really woo, hot peppers, and I was wow. And sometimes my body will be whoa, and it's no, we can't do that, because my gut's gonna be on fire. But my gut wasn't on fire. It was just oh, cool, we're doing hot peppers today. Apparently you'd like a really good clean out. So it's it's just really funny, because bodies are just funny. They'll just, when you really start to listen, they'll just tell you crazy things. When you're really truly listening to your body, it might even, you might think you're tired and you're hey body, what would you desire to do right now? Your body might say, go run for 20K. And you're not being obsessive. You're actually doing what your body is asking you. And it's, so it's to just truly start listening more to that rather than the chatter in your head. Yeah. And it's a different voice. Your body has
a
different,
That's
why
you
call them Ed.
Yes, exactly. That's why I love, a strong message in my play is, have a dream for your life, and feed yourself lovingly. And feed yourself lovingly. If it goes down, lovingly. If it's honoring your hunger, honoring your fullness, honoring your energy, honoring, your needs, then that's love. It can't harm you if it goes in lovingly without punishment, right?
Yep.
And I think sometimes, we don't want to eat, a salad with tuna on it, but we'll get it down because that's the right thing to do. Well, that's very punishing when your body's not asking for it, even if it's punishing. I've learned that because I've done that to myself my whole life, right?
Yeah. When you don't honor your body. That's great. I think it's so cool. Where have you been, Nikki? Why haven't we been talking for the last 27 years? What the heck?
I always thought you and I would be very good friends. Once we connected on Facebook, I was like, ooh, I'd like to get to know you better. We were supposed to get together for coffee, but it never happened. Yeah.
I know. It's true. I got busy. But it's so funny because, we've been living parallel lives for the last 27 years in our own ways. It's really funny. But, actually there's never been a person I haven't met that hasn't had something that they struggled with, whether it was like, whether it was an addiction or whether it was an eating disorder or depression or any of those things. Like there are these energies on the planet that influence us. And like, I love how you just talk about it as this relationship with Ed. And we do have these relationships that are so influential that, once we start to acknowledge that they are running our lives rather than us running our own lives, when you start to get that you have choice in that and that you can run your own life and these things don't have to run it, so much can change. But I literally don't know a single person, and if anybody is out there who's never gone through anything, please write to me because I literally don't know anybody who hasn't. So, and so this show to me is like relatable to everyone. Like every single person has gone through something, so everybody can relate to this, right? It's not a woman show, it's not a man show, it's a humanity show. It's like about like being alive basically and like tools for life, right? So I just think it's brilliant and cool. And I remember even a few years ago when you first put it out, I was like, oh my God, I know her and she's going to be famous. It was like really cool. So I'm just like, I have this knowing that you're getting famous and it just feels like it's even bigger. To me, it's like even bigger than you even are aware of. So I like it.
That's so nice. I wrote on my social media, I just put it out there where it says, who is Ed? To me, Ed was an eating disorder, but who is Ed to you, right? Yeah. There's a part in my play at the very end where, it's called Loving and Leaving Ed, but in my play, I actually say goodbye to someone else as well. And that's probably the part where every single person, struggling with any part of themselves that tells them that they're not good enough can relate to. That part in the play is where I really take it away from the eating disorder and people really feel that, sense of once I let go of that perfect image of myself in my head that never showed up, once I accept that it may never come and that it's just me, like I have to face the world, me, not my perfect image. Like I've said goodbye to my perfect image and I have to go into the world unguarded now. With no shield, no protection. I don't have an eating disorder protecting me. I have no crutch. I have no skinny body. I have no perfection as my guide. It's just me. And guess what? I'm doing fine. And I think that's the most important part of my play is saying goodbye to that perfect self that we're all trying to get, that perfect position at work and that perfect status and that perfect mother and perfect everything, perfect
it's
body,
like
perfect size.
Yeah, perfection is like a poison, and like so if you can even today, if you choose to change one thing in your life, look at what you're looking for as a perfection of an ideal, of a utopian ideal, and please like acknowledge that this is like an insanity, because it truly is an insanity, and there is no such thing. You actually being you is the most incredible gift you can be to everything.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with, it has nothing to do with being perfect. Because exactly who you be is exactly what the world requires.
And I think if you can really strengthen your mind and your character, strengthen your spiritual faith, I feel that, you can be a beacon of light to anyone you talk to. Like, people will value your opinion. They need you. There's somebody in your life who needs you, not what you're wearing, not what you look like, not your body. They need your opinion. And I feel like if you can really strengthen your mind and your character, then you have an opinion to offer to people who need you. And I'm really excited about that. Like, I'm really working on that. Like, I used to work out at the gym and try to get that perfect size and those perfect legs and those perfect arms. And now I go to Chapters and I read a book because I just want to learn something that I don't know about, because, hey, guess what? Somebody might be going through something and I might know how to talk to them about it today, and they might need my kind heart, because I'm very willing to give away my opinion and my ear. I'm really willing to listen to somebody because I care about them. And once like I focus on that, I just, the other stuff just kind of falls away. And you know what? I've been the same size my whole, I've been married for 12 years. I weigh the same as my wedding day. But for 10 years of my marriage, I've been striving and struggling and fighting my body, and I weigh exactly the same.
Isn't that cool? Now it's just choosing to have more fun.
No, but yeah, I've let go of stuff, and I used to try so hard. You wouldn't believe how hard I tried. It consumed my whole life. And I still weigh the same. Like, my physical body never changed. Only my mind changed. And
isn't that cool?
even,
that's very cool, because bodies are that cool. They really, you actually said that earlier, and I totally agree, and I've seen it in myself. It's like, your body is exactly how it would like to be. It's like you got, and if it does change, maybe that's how it would like to be. I'm kind of paraphrasing you. But also, and it really does have to do with change your mindset. Choose something different. Yes. Think about it differently. See it differently. Get a new point of view. Because you actually are probably way more awesome and beautiful than you even think you are, or anybody's ever told you.
Right. And I really want people to. I'm starting to realize that. I mean, it's still a process for me. I mean, my play has healed me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because even a year ago, I was going through the motions, but the curtains would go down and I'd still feel how I felt, and this is the first year in my life where I've actually accepted myself as I am. I'm not trying to alter myself in any way. I'm just trying to sort of enhance and maintain what God gave me and feed myself lovingly. That is a mantra of mine. Feed yourself lovingly, because I don't like to say diet, but healthy food is a huge component of healthy eating. But healthy food doesn't have to mean I'm eating this food because I want to be skinny. Healthy food just means I'm trying to eat this because I have a purpose in my life, and if I'm not healthy, I can't fulfill my purpose. I won't have the energy to show up. I won't have the energy, I guess, the desire.
No, you put it really well. The energy to show up, because it's really what it is so many people are not willing to show up, or they're hiding or whatever. And what if you can feed your body, feed your soul, feed your being, and it just assists you. It's a tool to assist you. Like, choosing to honor your body is a tool to assist you in creating the life you desire.
I agree. And also, I used to look at food like, okay, will this food make me skinny, or will this food make me fat? Will this food make my stomach bloat, or will this food make me flat? That's just how I thought in the past.
Yeah.
Now I focus on my dream in life, my purpose. And now I ask myself, is this food in line with my purpose? That's it.
I like it. Yeah.
That's it. Is this food going to make me, is it in line? That's the only way I can explain it. And if the food is not in line with a purpose, if this food is going to harm me, then I don't want to eat it because it's going to harm me or take something away from me and the other people that I could be talking to today, instead of being on my couch with the food, Yeah. And I'm not saying the food is a bad thing. Sometimes the food is wonderful. It's celebratory. It's a wonderful thing. But, if it's a celebratory dinner, if it's Easter and I want to enjoy that, then that is in line with my day and how my day
and your
is
purpose,
going. And my purpose, because I know that's not going to be it's not punishment. It's loving again. Like, it's a loving experience with my family and my friends. And I feel that that's very important too. As long as you trust yourself that this is not going to be, you know, the way that you're going to carry yourself throughout the week, throughout the month, you know, in a non-loving way.
Yeah, and to not walk away from that and get bogged down by, oh my God, I did this, and feeling guilty, because that's really what creates the insanity, right? So if you can shed the guilt, choose what works for you. Like you were saying, feed yourself lovingly. And when you are feeding yourself lovingly, there is no guilt.
And you know, trust is a big one for me, because what happened to me is, you know, when I trusted myself, when I learned that I completely trust myself, that I will not let myself be a victim to food and eating disorder anymore, then my celebratory holiday or dinner out with my friends or my anniversary is not, it's not a binge. It's not guilt. It's not punishment. It is an experience that I'm having with my family in a loving way, because I trust that for the rest of the week, I will honor my body and I will honor myself. And then it doesn't become a binge. It doesn't become a cheat day, you know? It just becomes a day that I had with my family that I trust will not happen for a long time. My body will have ample time to digest it, to, you know, burn it off, to use it, you know, because I know that I'm not going to bombard myself with this type of behavior in a punishing way for the weeks to come. And once I trusted that, it didn't become that my binge would hurt me or it was bad or I had to be guilty. It was just, you know, kind of like permission to have this, because I trust myself moving forward. And that was huge for me, you know, just huge for me.
I think it's a beautiful kind of way we're kind of going to wrap up the show. So I just wanted to thank you, Nikki. It's kind of funny how fast time flies on this show.
Yeah.
But it does fly fast.
Yes.
So would you like to just give, so we have the 3 minutes till end, and I just wondered if you'd like to give everybody some final closing words on, you know, your tips like feeding yourself lovingly and, you know, truly is like eating what honors you, right? What honors your body, and not judging it. And if there's anything you'd like to add to that. And I'd also like to let everybody know about other things you are creating and doing in the world, because Nikki doesn't just do plays, she does other things too.
Right. Well, on my last note, I guess just a quote from my play at the very end is where I say, you know, there is something out there that you are really good at. Find out what it is and do it well. You know, have a dream for your life, feed yourself lovingly. You know, I think if you can really meditate on those sort of thoughts, I think that great things can open up in your mind and your body. As far as the other things that I'm into, I'm also a senior hairstylist. I'm Mississauga at Lifetime Fitness. There's a spa located inside Lifetime Fitness, and I guess the first person who calls in, I guess I'd be very happy to offer a free haircut and style if they'd like to come in and visit me at the Life Spa. The number is 289-290-6424. And again, the first person who calls in is more than welcome to a free haircut and style by me if they'd like to come.
Wow, what a gift. So for those of you listening, we have people listening around the world. You never know. People may fly in for that. It'd be very cool.
You never know. Yeah.
That would be cool. So I just want to thank you so much, Nikki, for being on the show and for reconnecting after all these years. And
thank you.
For the gift you be and for what you're offering the planet, and using your voice and your writing and everything that you are being and choosing to be in the world right now. So thank you for being that for everyone, because it's such a gift. And, you know, choosing the vulnerability that you're being. You're talking about like having no barriers or no bound. Like the barriers part is such a key thing. Like just allowing people to see you is such a gift for everyone. So if you can be anything this week, guys, just choose to be vulnerable and let people see you and let yourself see you. And I'm still looking forward to speaking with all of you next week on the Pleasure Zone. And if you can make it out, and if you are in the GTA area of Toronto and you'd like to make it out on Thursday, May 5th, The Right Body for You, it is a intro class. We'd love to see you there. Have a great week.
Thank you for choosing to listen to The Pleasure Zone. Milica Jelenic will return next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on a2zen.fm. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.